Today, on Turning Grief into Growth, the 3 pillars of resilience. If you're looking for a way to cultivate resilience in your life to meet any of life's challenges, this is the video for you, and it's coming right up. Hey everyone, welcome back to Turning Grief into Growth. I actually have not recorded a video in a couple of weeks. I've been super busy preparing for something that I'm super excited to announce. I am participating in Defiantly Joyful. This is a weekend-long event at Hope Flower Farm. It's taking place on July 19th and July 20th. And Hope Flower Farm is in Waterford, Virginia, so it's in Northern Virginia if you're in the area. And it is going to be a full weekend of holistic practices. So we're talking about yoga and sound baths and Reiki and reflexology, but also art expression and flower arrangements and a chance to listen to some motivational speakers. And I'm going to be one of the motivational speakers, and I'm a little bit freaked out about it because this is the first time that I am speaking in public about my grief journey. I mean, I've spoken in public about a whole bunch of things before as a TV journalist and in my day job, but never about this particular journey of mine. So I'm a little bit nervous, but also really excited. And so that's where I came up with this, the 3 pillars of resilience, because I've been thinking about my journey to get over grief. So if this is your first time watching this channel, just Cliff Notes version, 10 years ago, I lost my fiance tragically. And in the aftermath, I was diagnosed with PTSD and major depressive disorder. So it's been a journey to get to where I am, to turn grief into growth. That's what this channel is all about. And so I've come up with a theory about resilience, right? In order to grow from grief, you have to be resilient. And so how do you cultivate it? And also, what is resilience? So let me start off with the definition, okay? So resilience is the ability to bounce back to your baseline level after a traumatic incident. So 2015, I was on top of the world, had a job that I loved. I had a boyfriend, fiance that I was also very much in love with. I was living overseas. I was loving life. And then boom, I get hit with this traumatic loss. 10 years later, I guess you can say I've bounced back, right? I'm still working in the job that I love. I have a home that I absolutely love. I have a relationship. I have relationships with my friends that I absolutely adore. I'm gardening, and that's a big deal to me. So I've grown from grief. And I've done that because I have spent a lifetime cultivating resilience, and I've made it an effort to continue to do so throughout my grief journey. So here is what I've learned, and these are the 3 pillars of resilience, and I'm going to speak about them at much greater length at Hope Flower Farm during Defiantly Joyful, but I'm going Defiantly Joyful. I said that kind of weird. At Hope Flower Farm at Defiantly Joyful on July 19th. But I want to give you the 3 pillars. I just want to give it away. Okay. So pillar number 1 is movement. How did I incorporate movement? Well, right after Felipe died, I didn't. I was absolutely paralyzed with grief. I mean, it took a long time for me to feel anything in my body that was healthy. As a matter of fact, I starved myself in the aftermath of losing Felipe. I lost, I want to say, 10 pounds in just a little over a month. You can do it with depression. You don't need Ozempic. Yeah, I think it was 2 pounds a week because I was not eating at all. As a matter of fact, when I came back from his funeral 3 weeks later, my mom was just pushing smoothies at me to get me to eat something. It was impossible for me to eat solid food. And apparently this is very common for folks who are grieving. I know that a lot of folks like to sign up for these food trains, I think they're called, when you lose someone and your friends in your community come together to bring casseroles over and feed you and your family, right? I mean, I know that that's very common, but I could not eat all, at all. So I was absolutely not in a physically healthy place. But as soon as I felt like, okay, I can start living again, I started to incorporate movement. Yes, my yoga practice, of course, but something a little bit more extreme. I started to train for the New York City Marathon 3 months after I lost Phil. I'm not a runner. I don't think I've ever run more than 3 miles in my life. And that's just to add a little bit more cardio when I've had too much pizza or something the weekend before. I was never, ever a runner, but I decided to run the New York City Marathon. That's movement to the extreme. Now, you don't have to run a marathon, okay? But you do have to incorporate movement to build resilience. Go for a walk, do some gentle yoga flowing. Do whatever makes sense to you that incorporates movement, because in order for you to stay resilient, your body has to be healthy and it has to move. The more the better. If you can get to a gym, great. But like really, movement is super important. I'm going to talk about that and my journey during the New York City Marathon and training for it at this event. I've got to figure out in my head like how I'm going to bring this up. But so that's movement. Number two, mindfulness. Okay, duh, right? She's a yogi. Of course, she's going to talk about mindfulness. But here's the thing, mindfulness isn't just like sitting on a yoga mat cross legged and breathing and thinking about not thinking. Okay. No, mindfulness can be any activity that brings you into the present moment. Yes, it's pretty much a thing in yoga. It's a lot easier for me to incorporate mindfulness into my daily life through my yoga practice, because for me, with breath and movement, I get to that place where I am not thinking, I am in the present moment. But I've also found mindfulness in gardening. I've also found mindfulness in long walks with my dog. Mindfulness is so important. Being in the present moment is so important because it allows you to remove the stress of those thoughts that are swirling in your brain when you're grieving. That is the second key to resilience. Movement, mindfulness. If you can combine the two, great, great. You just shortcutted it. Okay, number three, meaning. Meaning, like, how do you live again after loss when you feel like your life has collapsed and there's no meaning anymore? Well, you find it. You force yourself to find meaning. And look, I'll be honest, in the immediate aftermath of a Felipe's death, there was no meaning. There was just survival. So if this is where you are on your grief journey, please don't feel pressure to find meaning. Grieve. Take your time. But once you're ready, look for meaning. And this was something that I struggled with until I went to Marine Corps Command and Staff College, and until my mentor for my thesis really sort of drove home for me that the resilience that I had been relying on, very individual resilience, like working out and running and yoga, like all these solitary sports, may not be the best. That maybe there is a additional element to all this resilience building that involves community, finding meaning with a community. And she was right. I mean, I resisted it for a long time. I thought, no, I got to be strong in my body. I have to be strong myself. I don't need help. But no, like when you're grieving, yes, you need help. Yeah, you need those people who are going to bring the casseroles if you can eat, and you need the shoulders to cry on. You need someone to talk to, and you need, and meaning can be through community. That's why I created Turning Grief into Growth. That's why I hold these grief circles, right? Because it's the quickest and easiest way to see that there are other people out there who are suffering just as you are. Maybe their grief looks a little bit different, but they are suffering as well. And so we're finding meaning in community. We're finding meaning in helping each other. So there you have it, in a nutshell, 3 pillars for resilience. And I like this like metaphor of pillars because they're like the architecture for holding you up, right? They're the architecture that is required to be resilient. So pretty simple, right? Movement, mindfulness, meaning. Yes, I used alliteration on purpose to make it easy for you to remember. Thank you again for joining me on Turning Grief into Growth. Please subscribe, please like, leave me a comment, let me know where you are on your grief journey. And if you go to turninggriefintogrowth.com, you can schedule a free one-on-one grief coach session with me where I can just give you like the 15-minute spiel on what it is that I'm offering and whether or not I can help if you want to continue on your journey with me as you process your grief and build resilience, which I hope you do. Take care, everybody. See you next time.